Hello and welcome to Lesson 3 in our series on 3D for AccuMark version 10. In this lesson, we will discuss how to use features in 2D pattern design, such as seams and images, to enhance the 3D simulation. Click the button at the bottom of your screen to begin the lesson. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand the role of images in the 3D simulation process, define image preferences, and prepare seam allowance for pattern pieces used in a 3D simulation. Images play an important role when developing a realistic 3D garment rendering. In Lesson 2, we learned how to apply fabric images to pieces through the fabric table located in Model Editor. To view those images in pattern design, it is necessary to open a model with defined fabric types and 3D garment information. Within pattern design, the fabric images can be edited, or new images can be added to include trim and stitch details. In addition to opening a model with defined fabric types, there are two preferences which must be enabled to view these images within pattern design, found in the Color and Display tabs of Preferences. In order to view the fabric images in pattern design that were applied in Model Editor, we must navigate to Preferences found in the Customize drop-down of the Edit tab. Once the Preferences window opens, select the Display tab and then ensure that the Filled Pieces option is checked under the Piece area. We next move to the Color tab and select Texture under Fill Type in the Fabric Fill area. We then save the changes and click the OK button to close the Preferences window. In this example, we see that the fabric images are automatically turned on for the displayed pieces. There are two more options found in the View tab menu, which control options for viewing fabric fills. Filled pieces will turn the fill for the piece on or off, whether it is a fabric image or a simple color fill. Fabric Trim Edge controls whether the fabric, trim, and edge images will be viewed. In order for fabric images to be viewed, both options must be toggled on. Also, keep in mind that it is not required to view fabric images to complete the 3D virtualization. Enabling texture to be visible in pattern design is helpful if further imaging edits are necessary. Now, let's recap our progress so far. The fabric table accessed in Model Editor applies the fabric images to pieces within the model. In pattern design, preferences will make those images viewable in the 2D work area. Options in the View tab will allow the fabric and piece images to be toggled on and off as needed. Trim and stitch details can be added and edited within pattern design as well. To learn more about images in pattern design, please refer to the course series Image Workflow for 10.0, located in Gerber University. Stitching relationships in 3.0, located in Gerber University. Stitching relationships in 3D preparation are defined on the sew lines of a pattern. This ensures that the completed 3D virtualization is based on the finished garment measurements. For this reason, it is important that the garment is saved in the sew state prior to opening the model in the 3D workspace. Here are some basic definitions to review for seams in AccuMark pattern design. The cut line is the line on a piece used for cutting, while the sew line is where the pattern is sewn. It is crucial to remember that the sew line is the desired line to use for 3D garment preparation. Hide seams is a function located in the information bar which can be toggled on and off to display seam allowance in the workspace. Define and Swap are functions located in the Advanced tab, which allow you to add or remove seam allowance, as well as swap the line types that will be modified in pattern design. Now click the button at the bottom of your screen to view a demonstration. To begin working with seams, navigate to the Advanced tab and then select. The next step is to select the line or piece for seam allowance. In this example, we will choose the entire piece. We then enter the necessary seam allowance for this piece in the value input box and then click OK to add the seam. We can also remove seam allowance by repeating the previous steps and entering a value up. Additionally, following the same steps and entering a negative value will create seam allowance inside the current working line. For the purposes of this demonstration, we will want to ensure that the seam allowance is added to rather than subtracted from the current working. Once the proper seam allowance has been added to the piece, we can toggle the view on and off by clicking the Hide Seams button at the bottom right of the information. Returning to the Seam panel of the Advanced tab, the Swap function allows us to swap the sew and cut lines of the piece. It is important to keep in mind that the working line of the piece is whichever line on the piece is solid, whether it is the cut or sew line. In order to manage 3D virtualizations effectively, it is also important that the working line is the sew line and that the pieces of a model are saved. And now it's your turn to practice working with image preferences and seam allowances. Click the button at the bottom of your screen to begin the simulation. In Pattern Design, begin by clicking on the Edit tab of the ribbon. Under the Customize icon, click on the drop-down arrow. Choose Preferences from the given options. And in the Color tab, ensure that Texture is chosen for fill type. Next, navigate to the Display tab. Here, in the Piece area, make sure that Filled Pieces is checked. To capture your changes and continue, click the Save button and then OK to close the Preferences window. Next, click on the View tab in the ribbon to work with the options for how fabric fills are viewed on the pieces in the workspace. In the Piece group, click on Filled Pieces, which can be found second from the top right of the group. The fabric fill will now be hidden. Click the same function to toggle Filled Pieces back to On. Now click on the next button down, which is the Fabric Trim Fill Toggle switch. From the drop-down selection, choose Off. You can see now that the pieces show only the basic color fill, as we have turned off the view for any fabric images associated with these pieces. Now click on Filled Pieces once again. Both Filled Pieces and Fabric Trim Edge are set to off, so all we see now is the basic pattern pieces with no fills. This can help to simplify the view on your workspace when making further edits to the pieces. To begin working with seam allowance, click the Advanced tab in the Rivet menu. In the Seam group, choose Define. To select both pieces in the workspace, begin by holding Ctrl and clicking on the back piece. Next, click on the front piece to select it as well. With both pieces selected, click into the Value Input field. Enter a value of 0.50, then hit Enter on your keyboard to continue. Click the OK button to confirm your choices. Seams have now been added. Click the Hide Seams button in the information bar to toggle the seam view off. Click the button again to unhide the seam allowance. Next, let's try swapping cut and sew lines. Choose the Swap function from the Seam group in the Advanced tab. Next, choose the back piece to swap the sew and cut lines. Here you can see that the dashed and solid lines have switched, meaning that the working line is now the cut line. Take a moment to compare the difference between the back and front piece, and then, while still in the function, click the back piece once again. The solid working line is now the sew line once again. Remember, in order for a 3D virtualization to be successful, your pieces must utilize the sew line as the working line, as shown here. This ensures that the work done in the 3D workspace and for the final 3D simulation utilize the finished measurements of the garment. Now, click the OK button in the user input area to exit this function. Now let's do a quick review before saving our progress. Click the tab which will allow you to manage the fill of the pieces. Next, click the function which will toggle filled pieces back to on. Good job! Now, save your progress by clicking the save icon at the top left of the window. Choose the model name from the window that appears. Click OK to confirm the selection and save your progress, then cancel to close out of the save function. Congratulations! You have completed the lesson on using the 2D workspace in pattern design to prepare a garment for 3D virtualization. Click the button at the bottom of your screen to continue. We hope you have enjoyed this lesson, and we will see you in the next segment where we will cover the 3D tab in pattern design and learn how to open a 3D workspace to continue our progress toward creating a 3D garment simulation.